Hi guys, welcome. Scatlink here, and we're off for another edition of What's in the Treasure Chest. And this has been a bit of a overflowing year, and I want to include two things that I got halfway through this year, which basically stemmed off of a promised present for most of us last year, which happened on my nan's birthday, which segued into basically being a thing for her, but it was also promised as a Christmas present. We'll get into that in a bit when I get to a particular thing that I want to show off that we got for this year. But before we even do that, hope you had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'm actually not late on doing this. I haven't gone into the next year, so even though I was a couple of days late on doing this when I originally planned it, that's because I've been busy with work. So every time I got home, it's like chatting with someone else or trying to play one of these, which we'll get into, but ironically enough, I haven't actually messed with most of this, so you're going to basically see almost all of this fresh. So, with that, let's begin. Oh boy, it's a goodie bag with Splatoon on the back there, but I meant to show this side from Nintendo Tokyo. This bag has two items, and not really Christmas present, it was actually kind of like almost a month early, but Konomeza went to Japan with a few of his mates, and he got me a couple of things, so I had to get him something that was kind of Japanese related. It was a Miku calendar. But what he got for me here, which as I said is two things, he got me a Mario Kart TV rubber sign that is flexible and twisty and stuff. I don't actually know what any of it says, but it is in fact from a Nintendo store in Tokyo, Japan. Had a look at the bag again for a second there, but yeah, it's I guess it's just something that you can put on the wall, and because it's rubber, it's very easy to like spray and clean. Although I would assume that because of that texturing, that could be a thing. But remember back in the day when, you know, Mario Kart 8 came out and then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out, initially I had some filler content, which you can see playlists probably popping in the corner of the screen here, which will also be down below in the description. I never converted these into shorts because I didn't feel like there was a need to, because that's how they were uploaded directly from the game via Miiverse up to YouTube, and then obviously with capturing or saving a replay separately on the deluxe version, you could upload them. I never did any more of that because it didn't really feel like I needed to. So when it came to just making MKTV content, didn't really need to happen anymore, but I think I made the ones that I wanted to do anyway, and it was just a small little thing. However, there is something else in this that I want to show off as well, and that is probably the main thing from this, which has new Zelda Twilight Princess key art not seen basically anywhere else. Each of the three are representing their Triforce pieces that they have: Courage, Wisdom, and Power, Link, Zelda, and Crenando. And I thought these were initially magnets because it's on like a black piece of paper. You can see that the Legend of Zelda Japanese logo there. Logo in the corner. Flip it around, and you got Japanese text right there once again. And yeah, I thought it was a magnet, but it's actually a sticker, and ironically enough, it was intended for when I do get a new PC, which I'm using right now. It's this big thing, not actually that big, it's probably the same as my previous PC with the motherboard smaller than the case itself, but has a very beefy fan in the middle for the CPU, but it also has 4 case fans in comparison to my original case's 1. So I've already talked about all this on social media and on my Discord server as well. You can check in the description below. I didn't feel like making a video on that, mainly because it was more like future-proofing more than anything else. Whereas before, when I got my PC that I talked about, I also had a new capture device that I wanted to show off, which I technically do now as well, but ironically enough, I still haven't actually done many tests on that yet. I haven't got around to it. I haven't AverMedia Live Gamer 4K. Obviously, I can't do 4K. None of my monitors support it. But yeah, ironically enough, when he gave me this, I was like, well, look at that. Well, I didn't have it physically on me until it turned up about like 3 days later, but I showed him basically the specs and what it looked like from PC Specialist. So he knows that what I was getting, so that was actually kind of well timed. Of course, I haven't put it on yet because I wanted to make sure this was all good, it was all working, and I wanted to show it off in the packaging. I may or may not use them, I don't know, because even with this poster over here, it's still in its packaging. Well, this bit's obviously not, because it was like that in the Ocarina of Time 3D case. Thank you, Connor Meza, for that. Now, that's not the only thing he got me. He got me something on Steam as well, but we'll get to that later, because I'll keep that as a separate segment. I'll keep that to the back end, because that was Zelda. You know what else was Zelda? Not Zelda, but actually Riju from Tears of the Kingdom, yes. You're facing the wrong way, madam. There you go. So there she is, the Amazonas Gerudo herself, dual-wielding scimitars and all that. Nice box. Nothing on the back, it's just the basic box art. But I wanted Riju more than Naboris. No, Naboris. Naboris is the divine beast, excuse me. I meant Urbosa. I preferred Riju more. I mean, she looks a lot better than she does in Breath of the Wild. Obviously, she's technically the new champion, as well as Gerudo Chieftain, which also makes sense because that's what Urbosa was as well. It's funny, actually, because in Breath of the Wild, Urbosa does mention that there was a Gerudo Chieftain called Ganondorf some time ago. That's what Tears of the Kingdom / Age of Imprisonment gets into. And obviously, we know that Gandalf is there. There's an amiibo of him, so that's not exactly spoilers, is it? So, but yeah, I wanted to get this amiibo, and this was gifted to me by Leyland Cario, because she's all about Zelda, so she knew exactly what it was and what we were getting out of it. I don't actually know what she gives in the game, to be fair. Yes, I have been messing with Zelda Notes, which is the Tinkle Tuner of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I have been going back to Tears of the Kingdom, but that's because I'm trying to hop between Age of Imprisonment and Tears of the Kingdom without spoiling myself, because obviously Tears of the Kingdom came first. That gives you little snippets of what happened in the quote-unquote past, which is where Age of Imprisonment takes place in. So, and it is canon, apparently. It doesn't have any of the weird shenanigans that Age of Calamity had, where it's not actually a prequel. It skews off into its own tangent, because Nintendo just can't seem to keep away from time travel shenanigans. And I always realise when I do unboxing like this, I always go on a bit of a tangent, but it's just like talking about stuff. This is obviously Tears of the Kingdom Riju, not Age of Calamity Riju, which was an inventive way of having a fight with Seal Sasha. I don't actually think she shows up in this game, actually. I might have to go back and... I just left Gerudo, so I could go get rid of the goddamn pirates. That's where I am in the game. I've gotten rid of the pirates, and I'm making my way around, and then I've got the Master Sword now. So there's just a few more memories that I need to get. So... anyway, that's not the only amiibo that we have today, because we have Bulba himself, the Ivysaur. You would think that I would have had this a lot earlier. Obviously, it's a later edition because it doesn't have any of the Smash stuff on the back. But why did I not get this sooner? It wasn't on my list. It was just like if someone needed to get me something. And, you know, going back to the Zelda stuff, I have the Twilight Princess manga now, and there's not really any other manga that I'm really concerned about, except for maybe Link's Awakening, but I don't think that's made by the same artists and publisher, so that might be a thing. But Stella Chondrite gave me this, because you may not be able to see it from this angle, but this piece of paper right here is a poster of Bulba that she drew many years ago when I did my first Nuzlocke on Fire Red. I'll probably pop it somewhere on screen here, like a screenshot or something, but that's what this represents. This is the originator of the Bulba Mafia, Bulba, because we have Big Bulba in Pokemon Fire Red. This was the original Bulba. If you want to see the death montage of when we lost this poor bloke's life, please check the link in the corner. You will see the moment of when this thing got absolutely ruined by the rocket with the lift key, with his coughing exploding. So, you know, absolutely disrespectful. But now immortalized as a literal trophy. Keeping up with Pokemon, we have the latest one of the series, Legend ZA. Now, would you believe I've only just finished Donkey Kong Bonanza when this was coming out, and I still had some games on my backlog, which, as I said, I was going back to Tears of the Kingdom. So this wasn't really on my radar, but everyone else was playing it. Japan wanted to fight with me, the Stella Chondrite wanted to play with me, and this was something that I was going to get. But ironically enough, the next thing I'm going to show off was more on my radar, because we've been waiting for a while. But The fact that the DLC allows you to go to over level 100s, that's a bit shocking, although it's donuts. Going to ignore that fact for a minute. The DLC is kind of fast-paced in the way that you're supposed to run around and do a bunch of missions. Similar to how Donkey Kong Bonanza's DLC was with its roguelike Emerald Rush, where you're supposed to run around the entire layer or world, whatever that you're on, to basically get as many abilities as possible in order to make the most profit as possible. In this case, it's running around to basically get more ingredients to make more better donuts so that you can go to the more tougher ones later on. But the main story, I haven't experienced any of that yet because that's mostly spoilers. That's more mechanical that I was talking about, but it is real-time based, not turn-based. So it's like taking what Legends Arceus used, where it was real-time when you're fighting the Pokemon and dodging around, making sure that they don't hit you and all that. It then goes back to being turn-based when you send out Pokemon. So it was kind of like in between. This, always real-time. So it's like evolved from that. They had plan of concept, and then even though obviously you're stuck in Lumio City, you haven't got the whole region to explore like we had with Ishwi. I think that's how you pronounce it. But you may be more condensed, but the gameplay is where it matters. So this will be pretty fun to get into once I actually get around to it, because I have been playing the game that we've been waiting 8 years for. In fact, the whole console of the Switch came and went, and then this finally drops. And that is insane. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And I already have the red suit that was shown on the amiibo and on the trailers. Very cool looking suit, but it actually doesn't stack with the Varia suit, which most suits have been able to do, because the Varia suit, as you know, gives you heat resistance. There's an upgrade to the red suit that you find in the facility that you can't activate until you have boost ball. That's all I'm saying. I don't know where that is. Haven't got. That's as far as I've got, basically, because it mentions that it gives the suit heat resistance, and I'm like, but I have Varia suit. It doesn't stack, so it must have just scanned the power suit design and made a new suit for Samus instead of an upgrade. I mean, it did say that it was going to create a new suit, not like an upgrade, because like the gravity suit, the Varia suit, you can have those separately, but they stack. The red suit doesn't stack, and I'm not saying the name of the suit because that would be in a way spoilers, even though the amiibo's out there for those who don't know. And yes, it is the Switch 2 version. Again, I don't have a 4K TV or anything like that, but I don't have the highest 120 hertz either, so I'm playing at the probably Switch levels, but even though it's probably 900p like it is with a Metroid Prime Remastered. Not a problem. It still looks absolutely phenomenal for what it is. Now, I haven't got too far. I haven't left that facility yet where you get the suit, but I'm about to. But I'm ever so slowly chipping away at it because I just haven't had time. So, but this has been taking my time from this. So that is what that is. And again, we've been waiting 8 years for that. I'm actually getting a little bit annoyed of waiting for so long, and I know the struggles. Like, we've had to wait so long for Kingdom Hearts 3, we've had to wait so long for Bayonetta 3, we had to wait so long for Metroid Prime 4, and now we're waiting so long for Kingdom Hearts 4, and we lost a game that was supposed to keep us going, missing Link, permanently missing. There's my Kingdom Hearts rant done for the day. There will be rants later on in the video where we have a little update discussion, but I'm going to keep it concise because we don't need more negativity on this platform. That is one of the reasons why I haven't made certain videos of which I have debated on doing, and then I'm just like, nah, we all feel the same, we know this, and it's everywhere. Anyways, getting off away from that, let's get into one more media-based item, that being here. The trend with Nani continues. I now have the DVD box set of the Star Trek original series movies. Now, I'm going to actually show a picture here. May not necessarily be my picture that I can, if I can even find it, but we did have a collector's box, which included the first Next Generation movie, Generations, red box set VHSs, videotapes of the original movies, and we still have it somewhere, I'm not entirely too sure. But we didn't have them on DVD. We do have most of the Next Gen films on DVD, but not the originals. So when my nan was clearing out some stuff, and she's never going to watch this, in fact, actually, they look like they're still sealed to a certain extent. Yeah, like that. So you would slide them out like that. But yeah, this gives you basically all 6 of the original movies and some bonus stuff as well, because The next one, which was the crossover between, even though it takes place at the end of Next Gen, Generations, because it features Captain Kirk on the Enterprise B. That was like the transitional film in a way. Even though Next Gen's already came and went, they were making these films during Next Gen's running because they had budget and it was doing incredibly well. So they wanted to continue the original series. And that's pretty cool. And considering that, as I said before, she got me the whole box set of individual discs of the original series. Then there was the animated series, which is basically the last 2 seasons of the original series in animated form to complete the 5-year journey. Because every season, that is not the movies, but every season is basically a year. And I now basically have all of the seasons other than Discovery, because that's non-canon, that's been confirmed, and I didn't care about that. I didn't care about the Kelvin films either, so skip those. I've seen Picard, I did get all 3 seasons of that as well on DVD. It's now, oh, and I have seen all of Prodigy as well on Netflix. This is basically the start of the era we don't normally see much of. We only saw 1 episode, if that, of the Enterprise C, and the Enterprise B. I think that's what we start with on here, because it was an Excelsior class. But that was Generations, which is not in here. That's it for games and electronics for now, until we get to the downloads, which I'll keep near the end. But I need to pull something else out of my box. Gryffindor! Yes, we have a Sorting Hat plushie once again from my nan. So first it was the box set, and now we have this, which you would think would actually be a little bit of a hat, but yeah, unfortunately it is weighted, so it can't actually sit on my head properly. I mean, if I were to... There we go. Unfortunately, there is nothing in here, but this, ironically enough, because I don't have much to say about the plush, unfortunately, is actually a really good segue, because as I mentioned at the start, that you can still see the label, as I said at the start, last Christmas 2024, there was basically a card from Nan that said, here's a birthday present for a bunch of you. We're going to go to the making of Harry Potter, which I haven't been to since it first started, where I got my Elder Wand. Now, this is the original box from the gift shop / Ollivanders, which is how it ends to go into the gift shop, so you can actually get one. Because in the Ollivanders, like, corridor set, every single box is labelled with someone who worked on the films. All the staff basically have their own individual box, which I think is pretty cool. But then you go into the gift shop, the back end of it, because that's how you leave, and you can actually get yourself some wands. In fact, there was another store halfway through in the not before there when it first started, Platform 9 3/4 set with the train. The train's actually there. They had an extra little corner store, which you would normally see at train stations, where they had other stuff which you could pick up wands. As I said, this is basically one of the original releases when the tour first began. So when we were there, and I'm going to include them in here because I didn't do like a showcase at the time during July when we actually went, I'm going to show you 2 wands that I got for myself that technically, if in canon, could be more powerful than the Elder Wand. There we go. For some reason they were hidden inside him after all. Would you believe it? No Godric Gryffindor sword in there. Or is there? Oh, look at that box. That is fresh and new, part of the Wizarding World exclusive design collection. They have a new line of wands that some of them stay exclusive at the tour for a while, but do come available everywhere else, and they're £33 per one, so it's not much different than the standard ones. They also have a Fantastic Beasts set of wands for those films as well, but they have special wands based off of objects or creatures of the Wizarding World, transfigured into wands, which, knowing the item's abilities or even magical properties, could be strong. And what did I just pull out of the Sorting Hat? Oh yeah, pop that open and look at that. You get like a nice little cover film as well. If we were to peel that back and peel this back, this feels premium. Look at that. Look at that. This wand is theoretically more powerful than the Elder Wand, the Sword of Godric Gryffindor, Goblin Steel, transfigured into a wand. Think about it. With the Elder Wand, that is the most strongest wand in existence, right? It's one of the Deathly Hallows. It pledges allegiance to the person who disarmed their previous owner, which is why when Draco disarmed Dumbledore, he became the Master unknowingly. It's not killing someone, which is why Voldemort thought it was Snape. And when Harry disarmed Draco in Malfoy Manor, technically, even though he wasn't wielding the wand, that mentality mean that the wand then pledged allegiance to Harry. Which is why when the killing curse was used on Harry by Voldemort with the Elder Wand, it couldn't kill its master because it's being used against him, which is not what the wand wants. So the wand rebounded the spell to the next target. And of course, there's a Voldemort Horcrux within Harry, his lightning scar, and therefore rebounded to the next nearest target, which was the Horcrux, killing the Horcrux. But that's a lot of roundabout ways in order for the strongest spell in the universe, with the strongest wand in the universe, with the wand having a mind of its own to stop itself from killing its own master by being used by someone who's just nicked the wand. So, you know, let's say that Harry was very lucky not to be disarmed throughout all those shenanigans, and that was the case. That still means that the Elder Wand technically can kill a Horcrux, but under extreme circumstances. There's no limits with this. Neville just came along with the Sword of Godric Gryffindor and just chopped off Nagini's head. I mean, yes, it's a snake as well, but it's also a Horcrux, and as soon as that head went off, it also dissipated in black magic, which means Voldemort had no more left. And it also destroyed the locket. It also destroyed the Cup of Hufflepuff, the Cupplepuff. So that means any spell cast by this thing will be able to destroy a Horcrux with no questions asked. Habuski, and it's gone. Reducto, Diffindo, I mean, Diffindo would make a lot more sense with this thing, since it's Severing Charm basically turns your wand into a sword anyway. And I'm pretty sure that Godric Gryffindor, even though he did have a wand, it's not really known because he basically channeled his magic through the sword, which was made of goblin steel, and with its properties of being able to absorb certain spells. Let's say that the only thing that could turn this into a wand was someone who was very skilled in transfiguration using the Elder Wand. This is the theoretical result. And again, official. So that is heavily implicated in lore in a theoretical sense. Obviously, it's not canon. This is just a collective thing that's based off of it. But you can get wands based off of all of the 4 houses' important items, like the Locket of Slytherin, the Cup of Hufflepuff, the Cupplepuff, as I mentioned already, the Diadem of Ravenclaw, which, again, was, all 3 of them, Horcruxes. But ironically enough, this trumps them all. Gryffindor for the win, am I right? But I said I had a second one. Behold, with this nice purple lining on the box, this official wand may be one of those wands that would basically provide you with infinite health if you used Aquamency on yourself. Look at that. Twisted wood sprouting from the last remaining shard of the Philosopher's Stone. Or Sorcerer's Stone if you're from the US. I know you don't understand it. Google it. I'm sorry, that sounded really mean, but for the child actors, they had to basically redo every scene just to say Sorcerer, just to change it from Philosopher for the American release. I'm just saying. Regardless, though, Dumbledore said that he destroyed it, along with Nicholas Flamel, the creator of the Philosopher's Stone, which is able to make the Elixir of Life. Now, the wood is literally coming out of the gem. Who's to say that Dumbledore actually destroyed the stone? Surely there must have been one big shard that just pinged off, and he thought, just in case, you know what I'm saying? So, in another theoretical sense, if the last remaining shard of the Philosopher's Stone were to have been made or crafted into a wand, some form of wood or core that I'm not entirely too sure, but powered by the Philosopher's Stone or Sorcerer's Stone, which can make the Elixir of Life, just picture this. Aquamency down your gullet. The best healing spell imaginable, infinite life. That's pretty strong, and I would assume that this would be a healing-based wand where it would perform the best when it comes to life. In fact, on the tip there, it's a lot more yellow. I haven't got these out of the box that much, actually. But yeah, because it also makes gold. So the wand, where the magic is being channeled to expel energy, any magical spell cast by the wand, the tip is probably, you know, slowly becoming gold. So this, in fact, it's actually got a gold tinge throughout the whole thing, if you think about it, but mostly at the hilt as well, because that is where, or the handle, because that's where, you know, it's attached to. You're getting basically a golden wand, which gold has magical properties as well, by the way. Why do you think in almost all types of fiction, despite knowing that gold is one of the weakest metals, it's the best armor, it's the best weapon, stuff like that? It's because of magical properties enhancing its capabilities, which is why it is depicted as being one of the best. So this wand is slowly becoming more powerful. The Philosopher's Stone is 0 crystal? But anyways, there wasn't really any way that I was going to be able to fill in a decent amount of the video talking about these two particular wands in general. I just wanted to show them off, and that was a perfect segue, so I thank my nan for that, because in a way, even though this was technically from last year, I wasn't going to do a video in the middle of the year just talking about two wands, because I can bunch it in with everything else, and that was the perfect segue. Wands can be practical if you know how to use them, but for muggles, you need to keep warm at night. Mama, not the actual main thing, but I just wanted to show that I in fact did get a new Jarmy set, which is nice and red, Gryffindor, but the one I actually want to talk about is pretty freaking funny, and that's this. So I'm not separating them, but am I childish? No, I swear. It's just funny, it's just stupid, and I love it. So thanks Mama for that one. But she went one step further. Not fucking socks again. Who's the childish one now? Okay, you got me on this one. Little air freshener. Gold and Black King card. Car freshener. Royal brand King and Queen. I just thought that was quite neat to show off. It's not like a general one that's like a pear, or it's just little dangling like little tree or something that smells of pine or something, which would be very fitting for Christmas. But that one, I mean, I guess because I play games, that's like the king of games. I mean, it's black and... I wasn't trying to make a Yu-Gi-Oh joke, but it is actually black and gold, so that actually is a fitting unintentional joke right there. But anyways, I mean, it matches my car, to be fair. The interior is black and yellow at the moment. Black and yellow, black and yellow. The outer colour is actually grey and yellow at the moment. I mean, I had a white car before, but obviously I changed it. No need to really share that. But it fits. It fits a lot better than the green pear that I currently have in the car, which has probably lost its smelly. So, nice replacement. Mama. Speaking of practicality, we have a Michelin tire compressor pump. And here's the funniest thing, right? I have one that's falling apart, and it's my dad's old one, and that's it. But everybody has one of these. My mum's got a bigger one that can actually, well, it's supposed to hold a charge, but it's out of date. My dad has basically this size one, but this one has something that's a little bit different. You can actually program the PSI so that when you press the button, it will just fuel up your tire and then stop. Not that I need that, but apparently it was like £1 more, so he was just like, yeah, just get a little bit more of a flash one. And you have a light as well for when you're doing it in the dark, so you don't have to rely on daylight or a phone's flash in order to do it. Unfortunately, unlike my mum's big one, which does no longer hold a charge, this has to stay plugged in, so you have to keep weaving it through both sides of your car in order to actually pump up all your tires. But regardless, much more reliable, a lot more better, and the fact that I don't actually need to stay bending down on the cold, hard, wet, potentially wet floor and press the button and then just wait until it goes 1.5 to 2 psi above and then stop it, because when you unhook it, it lets a bit of air out, which is basically the thing, because when you let it sit, it evens out back out to that point. I can just program it to be like that, just let it run, unplug it, perfect. So very, and considering that my job involves a lot of driving, that is really perfect. So tar papa for that one. And now for rapid fire action. And I've prepared ahead of time because I've got them all in a list. We have Anton Blast by my bro. Yeah, considering that there was a lot of gifted games, I couldn't exactly skip over them. I don't, as I've mentioned before, I think we're going to have to start involving more digital stuff that I do receive because it is technically physically on here, but I've got something to hold, so it makes sense. Anton Blast. First, we had to hurry up. Then, it was pizza time. And now, it's happy hour! Anton Blast is basically another one of those Wario Land-inspired games, which, funnily enough, I'm playing Wario World on the MSO. I've done the first level. I remember that music from the trailers on the Master Quest bonus disc from Wind Waker, so that's a thing, but it is mainly based off of Wario Land 4, similar to how Pizza Tower was, although that one is more kinetic and movable, this one is more fighting side of things. And I haven't even got to Pizza Tower yet. So I need to play that first before I get to this. Or I might do this one first. Problem is, I've got too many games, and we've only just begun. We have Crony with Chrono Gear, the Warden of Time. For those of you who do not know, Crony is a VTuber from Hololive EN, which Connor Meza, who gifted me this, is quite a fan of. Well, not a fan of Crony in particular, but of Hololive EN, or Hololive in general, with like Mori Calliope, as well as Gigi, and Fuamoko. But we have a game made by Galaxy Trail, and the gameplay, as well as the style, looks quite similar to being in between Freedom Planet 1 and 2, which I have played Freedom Planet before on this channel, so it gives you a kind of idea on what the game in terms of its gameplay is going to be about, and that gameplay appeals to me, and I do like the anime style. I've seen some clips of Crony, she's funny, although I'm not entirely too sure her face tracking's always the best because she's always looking up and her mouth is always wide open. It's a bit awkward. But regardless, she seems quite funny. In fact, she's played the game herself, which I've seen clips of, and she can't seem, well, from what I gather, she can't seem to figure out why she's so mean to the clock-like NPCs of the game. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe it's supposed to represent her fan base? I don't know. But I don't actually follow Crony or most of it at Hololive EN that much, or those who have left, like Smoko Saba or Nimi, so just to name a couple. But I'm aware that this is Hololive EN game made by indie developers, Galaxy Trail, so I'm quite interested to see on how this game has stories about. Plus, I like time-based stuff. It's kind of a thing that has always been with me with Ocarina of Time, Back to the Future, stuff like that. So this will be fun to play once I get around to it. So before we go over to the next on our list, which you can just barely see from here because of the glare, I have to keep turning off the bloody light, is that I was gifted this by two people, and I already accepted it from Connor Meza. Panda Man also tried to gift me Chrono Gear, Warden of Time, probably because it's very anime themed. He doesn't know much about Hololive EN. So, ironically enough, as I've already accepted it from Connor Meza, I basically had to say no, sorry mate, let him know, and he got refund on that, but he got me something else instead. Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Now, not really anything that I need to say about it being on Steam Deck or on Steam, PC, what have you, because this is obviously the HD version that was originally released on the Wii U. Now, when the game first came out, I did originally get it on the 3DS, and the reason being is because not only was it the only unique version that had 3D, but it was also on the same device that had the original release of Shantae's Risky's Revenge, which was a DSiWare title, which is the very same that you can get on your 3DS, or if you transferred it up, as well as on the 3DS Virtual Console, the original Game Boy Color Shantae, which is not on PC. I'm guessing they expect you to emulate it. Now, obviously, now I have an HD way of playing the game, as well as the 3D way of playing the game, but after Pirate's Curse came out, then Half Genie Hero, which was the true first HD Shantae game, because it's not sprite-based, so everything was HD redrawn, it's not on the 3DS. That's when they stopped making it. So I did have, at the time, the whole series on 3DS, and it is up to that point. Except for Risky's Revolution now, which is in between Revenge and the original. But it made more sense to have it on here than on the Switch, because at the time I only got Half Genie Hero and all the DLC on Switch, because I already had it, but Seven Sirens I already got on PC, so I might as well try to get them all on PC. And I technically do because of shared libraries, but now it's actually on my library itself, so I'm only a couple short. So tar very much, Panda Man. You know, that's not the only time that I got the same game multiple times by multiple people. And it happened twice. Deltarune. I was gifted this 3 times. Stellar Chondrite gifted to me and already had it scheduled for 9 in the morning, which I accepted through my emails. But then later on in the day, around about 12:30, Alt Viking and the Space Kitsune Man of Many Names also gifted me Deltarune, which means now I can actually cover, or at least play fresh, chapters 3 and 4, which, you know, since chapter 2 we haven't touched it since, and chapter 5 is already being developed. You buy the game, you get the rest of the chapters, and they decide to start selling it around about chapter 4. So we've got 2 whole chapters to check out, which I have not been spoiled on that much. But ironically enough, as I already mentioned, well, we already know about Deltarune and all that. If you want to see my playthrough, which I have edited, not really edited down, but chopped down to 1-hour segments from live streams that were on the Nerd Herd, so I'm going to put those up just so they get a bit more views than the hour chopped down versions of mine. One of the 2 playlists will be in the corner as well as down below in the description. But anyways, speaking of the Nerd Herd, as I said, not only Stellar Chondrite gifted it to me, but also Alt Viking and Space Kitsune. So I had to let them both know that I've already accepted a gift of that, so I had to let them know that I'm going to have to decline that. And it was like, well, anything else that you would like? I mean, obviously I had stuff on my wish list, but Alt Viking had something else in mind, because we always play something that is on a Friday. So since we're playing Warhammer Rogue Trader, why not something else that's quite similar to that, that's kind of weird, and I agreed to it. Blood Bowl 3. So the weird thing about this is that it's basically American football, aka rugby, or something along those lines. And you don't actually play it, but it's like a grid-based battler, similar to what it is with Rogue Trader. And it's inspired, but not part of the same world as Warhammer. And I'm not the biggest on Warhammer, but I have been enjoying every other Friday, like every fortnight, that we play Rogue Trader. So we'll give it a go. It's kind of a funny one. I don't know anything about it, but it's the third one, it's the latest one. And grid-based combat, I'm familiar with it, so we'll see how that goes. And Space Kitsune gave me this, Momodora Moonlit Farewell. Now, you might be wondering, why did you get the final one? For those who know of the series, I've looked into it before starting to play this, but Space Kitsune said that this is actually a really good game, and the reason why it was already on my list is because one of the artists, which now I think about it, should have probably showed this off alongside Deltarune, because it's kind of related, is Temmie Chang, one of the artists that was quite predominant in Undertale and probably Deltarune, did some art for this game, or from the series in fact, because there was 2 other games. I did actually make a collection to keep track of them all, because I did eventually just buy it all because it was quite cheap. We have Momodora 1 and 2, which are free to play from itch.io when I made them work on here. Momodora 3, which that very artwork right there is made by Temmie Chang. In fact, it is kind of her art style. So it kind of makes sense. In fact, yeah, the sprite work of Momodora is kind of like from Temmie for the most part, but it's mostly the art style. And that was the only draw that and only connection that I knew when I saw it, and I'm like, well, I'll check that out. In fact, on her X, her Twitter, she did actually post, like, she did promotional artwork for Momodora 3, I believe, but also Revere Under the Moonlight, which is technically a prequel to 1, 2, and 3. So it's Revere Under the Moonlight, 1, 2, 3, and Moonlit Farewell. But only 3, Moonlit Farewell and Under the Moonlight, are on Steam. And apparently, Momodora 3 is not compatible on Steam Deck. I'm pretty sure I can get it working, because even Freedom Pack 1 technically says it's not supported, but it works. So I could probably get it working with maybe a custom Proton layer or stuff like that. Momodora 1 and 2 I installed through Lutris, so they work perfectly fine on here. And yeah, so I actually have a whole new series to get through. Yes, it was only 1 gift, but that's probably why I put it at the end of this, because I'm talking about other games of the series, so I have the whole set right here.
Live forever, and those I loved are dead, and I to blame. I choose death.
I'll save an actual update video for another time when we're in New Year, when I actually have some plans, because I'm kind of in flux at the moment. But yes, the Year of Defiance couldn't have been more accurate considering how things are going. As I mentioned, I got my new PC because even though I've been looking on and off throughout the whole year, one of the defining factors was the fact that, you know, with the AI bubble going on and the fact that everyone doesn't want AI, yet all businesses want AI and they're pouring all their money into it. This is going to be mini rants because I don't want to be making separate videos, as I mentioned earlier. Having just a rant and a complaint, because the last time I did that was when, you know, the cop apocalypse was happening and I was backing all my stuff off of YouTube. I still do that now. I still have that grid, that spreadsheet that you can check in the pinned comments of one of my chats on my Discord, link in the description below if you want to check that out so you can see the status of it all. But because of AI just running rampant on YouTube and everything like that, and I don't want to speak about it too much because, again, don't want too much negativity, I have been looking elsewhere. Rumble sounds good. Look that up if you must, but that's what I'm saying about it, because I don't want to be having too many rants. But yes, this Year of Defiance now just feels justified in a way that I was doing this in defiance of certain things, and now it feels like it's come back in earnest, which is kind of weird. So I don't know if I want to go for a second Year of Defiance or whatever. That was just the theme for the year that just happened to be what was happening. But I want to basically recap on certain things while mentioning some other stuff. For example, Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue. Yes, it's on all the PlayStation systems. You can play it on any of them, physically, digitally, whatever, and that is great, and it's one of the best games. And considering that Rayman 2's now just come to the Nintendo Switch Online N64 program, that means this could eventually be on there as well, but I still want Monsters Inc. Scare Island so it has official trophy support, and now I might just do that because why not? Because Disney's probably not going to get any more money off of me unless it's Kingdom Hearts 4, because they want to do Sora AI, which allows creators to use their licensed characters for AI slop, and you can't actually watch it even though it's created by people, because you have to pay a Disney Plus online subscription to watch that crap, instead of, you know, the litany of other stuff that's already in their vault that was made by artists. Like, what a slap in the face. Disney were the forerunners of animation, and now they are the killers of animation. Like, Sora's name is being used in vain. Someone needs to lock away AI right now. And yes, that's affecting RAM prices. Yes, that's affecting storage. Yes, it's affecting everything. From anything consumer electronics. That was another thing. Console prices never rose. They always went cheaper. And in 1 year, they not only rose once, which was already a shocker, they've done it twice this year. What? So something that never happens happened twice, and it's going to happen a third time. Steam haven't even announced their prices for the Steam machines yet because the market is changing too quickly. It is changing too quickly, and ironically enough, it may still be the best investment that you would make, because everything that you have in your Steam library and you have an aging PC, that might be the only way that you'll be able to continue playing your PC games, because it's 6 times more stronger than the Steam Deck. They're already being manufactured, but when RAM becomes more expensive, that could be a problem. Which I guess is a perfect allegory for our next project that we did on the channel. Mother 3. Earthbound Endings, Earthbound 2, whatever you want to call it, you know, capitalism. It's even more real now than it already was. Like, you can't avoid the discussions. This is why I won't get a worldwide release translation, because it will just poke fun at everything. Which it does, but, you know, we beat the game. It took me a lot longer to get through it, to be fair, but that's because that when we got in the middle of summer, we also had, you know, the Hat in Time Summer event that once again doubled in size with mods and all that, which is great, you know, shouting out mods and all that, but it just made it even more complicated. And I was well this time. I wasn't ill. That means my free time was still taken by, you know, work and all that. Last time I was recovering from an upper respiratory tract infection. The winter event came and went. No changes once again for like the 3rd year in a row. Why are you excluding the winter event? That map is still exactly the same. But as I said with Mother 3, with my little mini rant there, which was pretty perfect, yeah, that kind of ran longer than expected because of that. And therefore, along with our channel's anniversary, where I went to the new version of Ocarina of Time Chaos Edition, that actually went a lot faster than expected, but it still pushed back Mother 3, Earthbound 2, quite a bit. So, you know, we basically, within a week, segued straight to our last project, which I'll get into in a second, because after we finished with the Hat in Time videos, we were running out of summertime, because that was taking up the spot of recorded videos for what I wanted to do that year, which was also in defiance, but the fact that we still haven't had any gameplay. And that was Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. Where's the remake, man? Where's the remake? Ubisoft got hacked recently. There could be some information there from data leaks, but I'm not holding my breath, and I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying it's happened, and the fact that, you know, I did this out of defiance for the fact that, you know, I was going to do it originally, 4 years ago now, but we saw the trailer, like I was talking about it in one of these in an update video, and I was like, I'm gonna wait. I've been waiting, nothing. And again, like, the reason why Metroid Prime 4 took forever is because that 3.5 years in, they restarted development, but Nintendo were upfront about that. Ubisoft haven't really said anything, they just keep teasing it, like, oh, there's a new the 2 new Prince of Persia games have came out since then. You have Lost Crown, and you have the roguelike Prince of Persia, which is called the Rogue Prince of Persia. So they've had 2 new Prince of Persia games in the span of time, but at the same time, you're having these games come out, and you still haven't done the one that people really want. And people want Rayman back. Rayman's now on NSO, as I just mentioned, Rayman 2, which is one of the best ones. So that's cool, and I have been playing through it, even though I do have on G&G on the PC, which I put on Steam Deck. It's good that it's on there, but you still can't save. Why have you not made the memory packs / cards work on N64, but they work as default on GameCube? You can do it on GameCube, why can't you do it on N64? It is still a weird omission that has not been fixed for quite a few years now. And again, I'm talking about stuff in defiance, but at the same time, it seems like the industry's in defiance against us, because it's like things keep changing in ways. And I'm not just talking about the gaming industry. I'm talking about in just, you know, technology in general, because it makes you wish going back to a simpler time. And sometimes it can make you mad. Well, as I said, with all those things getting in the way of like delaying, plus my bad habit on not streaming often, we went to Madness Returns, American McGee's Alice 2, and that was actually quite consistent up until the end, because Spirit Wolf, who joined me for that, had a couple of issues, and I know that the audio was a bit different on the final one. That was a snafu that has now been sorted, but it's fine. It was perfectly fine. It was shorter than I was expecting, actually. I didn't think we had that little left, but we still covered the bonuses. I even went out of my way, while in the gap of waiting from the previous one to the next one, to the final stream, went through and listed all the achievements that we would have got if we were playing on PS3 or Xbox 360. So that's all covered for those who are wondering. I put them in the order that you would normally receive them in, or from what I would have received them in as I was playing through the game. And I can't get 100% anyway, but I got 92%, which is more than what I was expecting, because I couldn't get that one petal. The game just kept breaking on me while leaving before the autosave could trigger. Thanks. But even so, even if I could get that, it says that your save date up until that point, like the checkpoint in the story, is kind of wiped. So I don't think you can go to a certain point in the story, grab something, and then leave. You might have to finish the chapter. Every chapter was basically a 4-hour level. It did drain a bit. It did great on the onset, especially on chapter 3, meeting up with the caterpillar, because that really did feel like it was dragging. But then the next stream, we did 2 chapters, because one took 2 hours, one took 3. And then the final one took 1. So in a way, on evening it out, each chapter does take about 3.5 hours on average, if you split it up in a way. So that is very interesting. And I did put in the 2 Otherworlds animations from the American McGee channel that were fan-funded at the time in the Alice Madness Returns playlist, because that's all there is. It doesn't go any further than that. And ironically enough, I did actually like the first one with Jules Verne, not the one where she's in this play. Obviously, it's still delving into like the psyche of that famous author. I can't remember the one for the play, but it is still interesting that she basically becomes Psychonauts, which is very interesting. It's like no longer her thing, unless it's her Wonderland twisting into talking to that person, or what she knows from that person, trying to understand how that person is. Unless it is going into Jules Verne's psyche, I don't know, but it would make sense for the time period. But yeah, that wasn't really anything Defiant related other than her being defiant of what happened over the 11 years. Didn't really fit the theme, but it was just scheduled to happen this year. But for the rest of the year, other than editing the Majora's Mask perfect cycle sort of thing, which I did last year, Halloween, and only edited that during summer, like in between. That was the thing. We went back to Pokemon Mo as well. I forgot to mention that. Just to do the Orange Island stuff that I didn't do, that everyone else did. Because I just wanted to get the finale edited, to be honest, because it was already going on for 2 years back when we did that. But when it came to the bonus stuff, after I was doing that, and then the summer event of Hat in Time dropped, which I then had to do, which pushed back Mother 3 because I needed time to play it and plan, so I did everything twice, effectively. But also Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, which went very fast, honestly. I mean, I actually recorded the first 3 episodes before the Hat in Time stuff happened, so there was a bit of a disconnect there in terms of editing, because it was like, well, I'm starting it, I'm going to get it all done immediately. Then I noticed that there was a lot more stuff added to it than what I was expecting. I'm like, damn it. I only recorded 3 episodes, and I've already edited them, but I can't do anything until I get this done first. Yeah. It's kind of funny when, you have a project that is officially recognized by the developers. It's probably the biggest and most important project on the channel, honestly. And it is still one of my favorite games. Ironically enough, though, I haven't played the main game in ages, so I don't actually know where all the collectibles are in normal gameplay anymore. It's actually kind of crazy, because that was my 26th project. We're approaching our 48th. Maybe I gotta do something special for the 50th. Something to think about for next year, isn't it? So, as I said, I'm not going to be going too much of a rant on, everything that is happening in the game space or on YouTube. I've kind of already did that, but I didn't want to do separate little videos, just have it at the end here while doing the recap of this year, because it just makes sense. Save a video, less negativity, but it was also, as I said, in defiance of certain things. And now, again, I'm glad that I did Toy Story 2 in the way that I did, because as there is no clips from the film, and I used the slideshows from the N64 version despite playing on PC, while including the trophies from the PS4 and PS5, I danced around it. It's like my own amalgamation, so it works out incredibly well. So, yeah, please check out all of the projects from this year if you haven't already, and maybe we'll go back to Pokemon at some point for some Pokemon Emerald, because I would like to do that next whenever I'm ready. But I've also, got a lot of other stuff to do. We should probably go back to Pokemon Scarlet on the Switch 2, where it's not a janky mess, and do all the after game there. Maybe debate on the DLC as well. I'm not entirely too sure. There is many opportunities for content in general. Or just, making something that I really want to make. But I am busy on my next Patreon project. I'm now 2 characters away worth of weapons for the weapon chart of Kingdom Hearts 358. And if you are a patron, you do have early access to a small demo of how I will be doing the explanations for every weapon. It will show the combo tree, it will show all their weapons and stats, who it's used by, stuff like that. It's a proof of concept, as it were. It's probably going to be as involved as Cho Conroy's explanations on Pokemon or Splatoon weaponry. It's going to be that in depth. So I hope you look forward to that as well once I get that. It will be Patreon exclusive until I'm done with 358. I do need to play through it again, but we will be using Melon Mix, because that is come such a long way since when it's first showed, and that is the way I will be doing it. Yes, I have a cartridge, and I am using cartridge footage for all the weapons because I already have them all. So my own copy will still be used for the videos, but only for the weapon demonstrations, because it kind of fits the theme. But for the main gameplay, it will be on Melon Mix, because that is the best way to show it off. So I'll leave you guys with that, and when I'm ready for the next update video, as well as obviously the next challenge road about time, number 71, I'll see you guys next time. And I hope you have a happy new year.